Have you ever felt like no matter how hard you try, no matter how many affirmations you recite, how many visualizations you practice, how many journals you fill, your life just doesn't seem to move forward, as if there's an invisible wall between where you are and the reality you're reaching for? You're not alone. But what if I told you that you're not actually blocked? What if the real reason you feel stuck is because your frequency is still tethered to an outdated signal? One that's quietly broadcasting lack, fear, and limitation into the quantum field around you. You see, it's not about how much you want change. It's about the vibrational truth you keep living from. Most people think manifestation is about asking the universe for something and waiting for it to show up. But the quantum field doesn't deliver based on your wishes. It delivers based on your alignment. And alignment isn't mental, it's electromagnetic. It's the coherence between your thoughts, your emotions, and your nervous system. The truth is, you're already creating. Every single moment. The question is, which version of reality are you energizing? Because you don't manifest what you want, you manifest what you are. And if you're still emotionally attuned to the signal of your past, your traumas, your stories, your doubts, then the universe simply continues reflecting that signal back to you in the form of circumstances, relationships, and delays. Not as punishment, but as feedback. That's why nothing changes until your frequency does. In this video, I'm going to walk you through the shift that changes everything. Not by adding more effort, but by releasing the attachment to the old signal that's keeping your highest reality out of reach. Stay with me until the end, because I'll reveal the one alignment secret that rewires your field and collapses timelines faster than any affirmation ever could. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. So let's get real for a moment, not just spiritual, but biological. Your nervous system is not just a bundle of wires reacting to stress or excitement. It's an antenna, an electromagnetic receiver and transmitter that is constantly tuning into frequencies. And those frequencies? They're not random. They're sculpted by your emotional memory, the repeated stories you tell yourself, and the energy you subconsciously hold in your body every single day. If you feel stuck, it's not because life isn't responding, it's because it is. Faithfully. Precisely. The old signal you're attached to isn't just a feeling, it's a vibrational identity. One you probably didn't even choose. Maybe it was inherited from your parents. Maybe it was burned into your system by trauma or repeated by a culture that taught you to survive, not expand. But here's the kicker. You don't need to dig up every wound to release that signal. You just need to stop unconsciously identifying with it, because identity is frequency, and frequency is fate. You've been doing everything right on the outside, reading the books, meditating, journaling, visualizing that dream version of yourself. And yet, deep down, there's a sickening emptiness, a whisper that keeps repeating, why is nothing really changing? You watch others evolve, succeed, manifest, and something in you smiles for them. But inside you wonder, what's wrong with me? Why do I always feel like I'm chasing something I can never quite catch? You think maybe you need to try harder, maybe you're not spiritual enough, maybe you've missed some hidden step. But the truth is far more radical and far more freeing. You're not broken, you're just still entangled with the energetic residue of who you used to be. You haven't failed to align, you've been aligning perfectly, just with the wrong frequency. And that frequency, the one wired into your nervous system from years of trying, failing, surviving, it's so familiar, so subtle, that you forgot it was optional. That pain you feel? It's not weakness, it's a message. It's your higher self pulling at the seams of the old identity saying, this no longer fits. The truth is, you're exhausted not because you're lazy or unworthy, but because it takes tremendous energy to maintain a vibration that no longer matches your future. You're trying to ascend while being gravity-locked into a timeline that expired years ago. And no one ever told you the reason you're stuck isn't because you don't know what to do, it's because you're still feeling from the past. That emotional signature is what's locking your reality in place. But what if you could shift that signature? What if instead of fixing your life, you just tuned into the version of you that never needed fixing to begin with? Let's decode the mechanics of your frequency, because this isn't just energy talk. It's measurable, grounded neurobiology. Every time you feel an emotion, your body creates a biochemical cocktail that not only affects your mood, it programs your nervous system. When you feel shame, anxiety, or hopelessness on repeat, your neural pathways wire together around that state, creating what neuroscience calls a familiar firing pattern. The more it fires, the more it becomes your baseline, your default signal. And the quantum field? It doesn't care about what you intend, it responds to what you broadcast. That means you could be visualizing abundance, speaking affirmations into the mirror, even doing breath work. But if your body is still anchored in the frequency of scarcity or fear, that's the signal being received. You see, you don't attract what you think, you attract what you regulate. That's why healing isn't just mental, it's electromagnetic. The good news? This works in reverse, too. When you intentionally shift into emotional coherence, when your heart and mind are synchronized in trust, gratitude, or expansion, your entire field changes. Brain scans from Dr. Joe Dispenza's research show this. When someone fully steps into the emotional reality of their desired future, even just for a few minutes a day, their body starts acting as if that future is happening now. The nervous system calms, the heart rate aligns, the brain begins generating alpha and gamma waves, the frequencies of deep intuition and rapid transformation. The field listens. So the real shift isn't in what you do, it's in what you feel to be true. And when you learn how to generate emotional alignment, not from fantasy, but from embodiment, you stop waiting for reality to catch up. You start bending it toward you, and that right there is the beginning of timeline collapse. To shift your signal, you don't need to force positive thinking or fake confidence. You need to interrupt the loop your body is addicted to. That loop is emotional memory, and it's not just stored in your mind, it's encoded in your cells. Your nervous system remembers every time you were rejected, abandoned, humiliated, or unsafe. And unless consciously disrupted, it replays those frequencies automatically, like a background app draining your energy. That's why even when nothing bad is happening, you still feel tight in your chest, a lump in your throat, a low-level dread that you can't explain. The key is to recognize that this is not who you are. It's just an old program and it can be rewritten. Here's a powerful practice. The next time you feel that familiar wave of anxiety or contraction, pause. Don't analyze it, don't suppress it, simply speak to it. This is a memory, not a prediction. Then, shift something in your physiology. Stand taller, breathe deeper, roll your shoulders back, move your body differently. Why? Because posture is frequency. When you change your stance, you interrupt the somatic loop that keeps you identified with the old self. Add breath. Inhale for 4 counts, hold for 4, exhale for 6. Do this for 2 minutes. You'll feel your signal recalibrating in real time. Now, in that soft space that opens up, before the old emotion pulls you back in, drop in a question. What does the version of me who already feels free focus on right now? This question is a frequency redirect. It tells the quantum, I'm not observing from pain, I'm observing from possibility. This isn't spiritual bypass, this is neurobiological sovereignty. You are teaching your system to feel safe in expansion, and when safety meets expansion, coherence is born. And coherence is what bends the field. When you begin to feel safe in expansion, you become entangled with the version of you who already lives your next reality. Not someday, but now. This is not metaphor, it's quantum entanglement in action. In the lab, when 2 particles are entangled, a change in one instantly alters the state of the other, regardless of distance. What modern consciousness research suggests is profound. Your identity is also entangled across timelines. That means the version of you who is free, wealthy, aligned, deeply loved. They're not a fantasy. They are a signal in the field. And that signal is already connected to you. The only question is, are you vibrating coherently enough to feel it? You don't become that version through effort. You collapse into it through emotional resonance. And the fastest way to collapse into a new identity is through what I call frequency rehearsal. It works like this. Every morning, before your mind remembers who you were, before your phone reminds you what's missing, close your eyes and step into the emotional signature of the future you. Don't visualize outcomes. Embody emotions. Feel what they feel as they breathe, as they walk, as they look at the world. Anchor that emotional frequency in your nervous system until it becomes more familiar than your current identity. And here's the key. Don't stop at morning. Set a midday alarm labeled "Collapse the Timeline." When it rings, pause and feel. Am I observing life from lack or from alignment? This tiny moment of self-inquiry rewires the observer. Because remember, what you observe becomes real. And the moment you feel more at home in your future than your past, the field begins to shift around you, not by force, but by fidelity, not by hustle, but by harmony. Here's the uncomfortable truth that no one wants to admit. The reason you keep looping back to the same reality isn't because the universe is ignoring you. It's because a part of you is still loyal to the pain. Not consciously, not deliberately, but energetically. There's an identity you've worn for so long it became familiar. And in the human system, familiarity often feels safer than freedom. That identity, built from years of failure, rejection, scarcity, is like an emotional home. Even if it's painful, it's predictable. And your nervous system craves predictability more than it craves success. That's why you can visualize abundance but still check your bank account with dread. That's why you can crave deep love but still feel unsafe when someone gets too close. It's not sabotage, it's survival, but now you're beginning to see the code. You're realizing that the old signal isn't just a trauma response, it's an energetic echo of a timeline that no longer serves you. And the longer you observe life through its lens, the more you collapse realities that match it. That's why affirmations without nervous system regulation often fail. That's why vision boards without emotional coherence don't stick. Because the subconscious is the true observer, and the subconscious doesn't obey your goals, it obeys your familiar emotions. If guilt, shame, fear, or proving have been your emotional baseline, then that's the frequency you're still broadcasting, even when your mouth says otherwise. But here's the breakthrough. You can rewire the observer. You can train your body to recognize joy, peace, and enoughness as the new normal. And when that becomes your baseline, you don't have to force manifestation. You become a match for what you used to beg for. That's not magic, that's mechanics. Stability isn't built through intensity, it's built through repetition. You don't need another breakthrough, you need integration. And that means creating a life that trains your system to hold the new signal again and again until it becomes second nature. This is how quantum identity sticks, not through big moments of transformation, but through daily moments of coherence. When you repeatedly return to the energy of your future self, you build what neuroscience calls neural dominance, a pattern so strong, so emotionally reinforced, that the body forgets how to feel like the old you. That's when reality bends, not as a miracle, but as an inevitability. So how do you do it? Through what I call the focus loop method. It's simple, and it works. Step 1. Morning declaration. Before anything external enters your mind, place your hand on your heart and say, "Today, I choose to observe from the timeline where I'm already free." Feel it, not as a mantra, but as a signal. Step 2. Midday recalibration. Set a phone reminder for 2 p.m. labeled "Return to Alignment." When it rings, close your eyes and ask, "Am I broadcasting from fear or from the version of me who's already there?" This one check-in can reset your entire field. Step 3. Evening embodiment. As you lay down at night, replay moments from the day where you caught yourself shifting. Don't judge the moments where you slipped. Celebrate the moments where you chose differently. Let gratitude be the glue that seals the new pattern. These aren't hacks, they're neural rituals. And when done consistently, they collapse timelines because they create frequency stability. The quantum doesn't reward passion, it reflects pattern. So the question becomes, what emotional pattern are you ready to make dominant? You were never meant to become anything. You were meant to remember. And that memory, it's not stored in your brain, it's coded in your field. The version of you who is already aligned, abundant, magnetic. It doesn't exist in some distant future. It exists here, now, waiting for your frequency to match it. Because every potential version of you is already vibrating in the quantum, and what we call manifestation is just your nervous system finally tuning into what your soul has always known, that you are already it. The chase ends the moment you stop outsourcing your power to time. This is the paradox. The more you try to get there, the more you reinforce the frequency of "I'm not there yet." But when you remember, even for a moment, that it's already done, already yours, already you, that's when the field moves. Not because you forced it, but because you aligned with it. That's what Neville Goddard meant when he said, "Assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled." He wasn't talking about fantasy. He was talking about identity transfer. Your job isn't to force reality to change. It's to become emotionally indistinguishable from the version of you who doesn't need to try anymore. That's why stillness is powerful. That's why presence is magnetic. Because when your field stops leaking energy through doubt, fear, and proving, you stop chasing timelines and start collapsing them. You become a gravity well for the life that used to feel out of reach. You walk into rooms and things shift, not because you're louder, but because your frequency speaks first. You stop needing signs because your whole body becomes the signal. This is not a mindset, this is quantum architecture. Now it's time to move from insight into embodiment. You've remembered, you felt the shift, but the quantum doesn't respond to what you visit, it responds to what you live. So here's your anchoring practice. For the next 72 hours, treat every moment as a chance to observe from the new signal. When doubt arises, don't argue with it. Observe it from the identity that no longer needs to react. When fear whispers, pause and say, "That's not my frequency anymore." When old patterns try to resurface, smile. Not because they're gone, but because they no longer control the lens through which you see. This is how reality shifts, not in one explosion, but in thousands of subtle reselections. Breathe, focus, align, repeat. Let every thought, every word, every breath be a declaration. I am now observing from the timeline where it's already done. That's how timelines collapse. That's how identity stabilizes. That's how you become the frequency that your dream life has been waiting for. And if something inside you stirred today, if a voice whispered, "This is it," then this isn't just a video, it's a quantum transmission. It found you because you were ready. So don't keep this energy to yourself. Let the field expand through you. Like this video if it resonated in your nervous system. Share it with someone whose timeline is ready to shift. And subscribe, not just for content, but to stay in coherence with a community of beings who are no longer chasing reality, but collapsing it through remembrance. You're not blocked. You were never behind. You were just tuned into a frequency that no longer matches your becoming. And now, the field is listening.